fear nor doubt. Truth has patience to wait. The words of truth are touching. The voice of truth is deep. The law of truth is simple. All you sow, you reap. The soul of truth is flaming. The heart of truth is warm. The mind of truth is clear and firm through rain and storm. Facts are only its shadow. Truth stands above all sin. Great be the battle of life. Truth in the end shall win. The image of truth is the cross. Wisdom's message is its rod. The sign of truth is Christ, and the soul of truth is God. Life of truth is eternal. Immortal is its past. Power of truth shall endure. Truth shall hold to the last.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living room. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
Protecting the victory at all costs. And if it entails preaching violence, talking about a form of weaponry that could be lethal, talking about a bazooka, and taking aim at anyone, giant or dwarf. Hello everyone, welcome to the Wednesday edition of NewsSpin right here on Power 97.9 FM. We are also on YouTube as well as the NewsSpin Facebook page. So hello to you around the world listening and watching the broadcast until 2 o'clock this afternoon. My name is Timothy Poleon. We'll be together until 2, as I said before, and in a moment I'll be hearing from you at 452-2979. 452-2979. Your WhatsApp calls and messages at 716-2026. 716-2026. Our NewsSpin Facebook question of the day: why the bazooka, giant, and dwarf talk? Our NewsSpin Facebook question of the day: why the bazooka, giant, and dwarf talk? Allow me to go through some of the responses that you have sent over the last few minutes. We have a couple of them. The first one reads, where do you fall in this lineup? Another comment, somebody says, where were your bazooka when you, Claudia, said RF threatened to kill you? We have some more. So what they want to put their people in, Jaguide us all, Tim. And another one says, Tim, when you on the defensive, intimidating tactics may be used. Another one says, was directed at you, no catapult. And somebody says, in the chat room, not the chat room, but the response as far as the NewsSpin Facebook question of the day is concerned, Tim, I think I will catapult myself out of this one. I not saying chukum. Remember? Another one, I swear St. Lucia is not a real place, LOL. Another comment, too much drama when it comes to you. Okay, responding to something somebody else said there. And some more responses. Somebody says, this type of rhetoric should not be allowed in our country. To have the young involved in gang-related activities and causing so much mayhem for our police And now the Speaker of the House going on national TV to preach the same thing that is destroying our people and by extension the country cannot be tolerated, period. I think the Speaker should resign or he should be fired. Somebody says total madness. And just a couple of your responses. Tim, giant or dwarf? Bazooka on them. Lord, put a hand, we finish. And another person comments, good for you, Tim. Take your shield and go. All right, that's some of the responses. Once again, to our NewsSpin Facebook question of the day. Why the bazooka, giant, and dwarf talk? Who will call on public figures in St. Lucia to measure their words more carefully? Because it cannot be accidental that people are using those kind of words. It is to send a particular message, talking about high-powered weapons, bazooka, when you talk about the dwarf, because, you know, again, in most countries where people are sensible and when you have various interest groups forming civil society and they are effective, they raise their voices against certain labels when they realize that certain terms are used just to, for lack of a better word, belittle people, insult them. They would normally speak loudly and forcefully. Things like dwarf. I mean, if somebody criticizes you and the person is blind, person cannot see, would you say blind? If Anthony Avril, for whatever reason, would criticize a public figure, political figure, a talk show host in St. Lucia, this blind man, whether you're blind, whether you're deaf, whether you're disabled, etc. And there's some of us in St. Lucia who should know better, who applaud. Because it's somebody who's from a political certain party that we support. We have a thing in common. And therefore, we should not be asking that person to apologize. And we've been hearing over the last few months, particular individual on NewsSpin asking the question, I mean, which institution, what are the individuals on the island that we want our children to emulate? Because there was a particular era when you wanted your son or daughter to pattern their lives after a particular individual for something positive, something that would cause them as individuals to be upstanding citizens. But now that is not the case. Anything goes. Some people believe that they have a monopoly on speaking and saying anything that they want, but other people, they should be restricted. They should be muzzled. And every attempt should be made to keep those people quiet, either covertly or openly, either through the courts, either through intimidation, and a number of other things that would normally happen behind the scene. And all this involves what? Protecting the victory. And protecting the victory at all cost. Maybe, as we've been hearing the next time around, the St. Lucia Labour Party would want to win all 17 seats. And for some of you out there, this is good for our democracy. For some of you out there, enough is enough. There are some individuals in this country who should not be criticizing the St. Lucia Labour Party. I mean, who the hell are you to criticize the SLP, to criticize Philip J. Pierre, to criticize any of the government ministers on island. But let us just hark back to the period prior to the last general election. People were free to criticize, free to demonstrate, march outside the Parliament of St. Lucia, call the various talk shows, say whatever they want. It was within their right as a citizen to do just that. It is the civic responsibility as well. Oh, how quickly our ideals change, primarily because we are now in office. We are now in power. We are wielding power. One of the individuals we should seek to emulate, and he is worthy of plaudits, not from St. Lucia, the United States. Barack Obama, former president. Realize how this individual carried himself as the president of the US. His language, very measured, not out of control, not losing his cool. That's a guy who is confident. That's an individual who knows the power of words, and he demonstrated that. It's not about destroying a nation or the global community at all cost. It appears in St. Lucia, we don't mind destroying our society as long as our party is in power, so that we can hold top positions in the country. Well, we would be foolish, and I know people like to say St. Lucians are fools, etc. I don't believe that. I do not believe that. I like to say that St. Lucians are timid, in some cases, unpredictable, yes, but unpredictable in a predictable way, because of late, the voters are not standing for the nonsense that the politicians of several decades ago would have gotten away with. 15-2 does not mean anything at all. It should not mean that you should rest on your laurels, you should be feeling so comfortable. And I think that's what the politicians and operatives of the SLP know. That 15-2, as far as the voters of St. Lucia, doesn't mean anything. The voters are fickle, the voters are very impatient, and the voters are very intolerant as well. And I would not be too surprised if certain individuals are buckling, primarily because of what they're already seeing on the horizon. So it's over to the Prime Minister and political leader of the St. Lucia Labour Party to rein in certain individuals, because, believe you me, they are doing a lot of damage to the SLP, and that damage might be irreparable. And we know that politicians, everything for them is politics. They like to act in a very politically expedient manner, and if Philip J. Pierre is a true political leader of the SLP, he definitely would intervene, and he himself would have to lead by example. That thing about we beat you and we beat them, clearly, even in sports, you're told that after you have won a contest, that you need to be magnanimous. Even when you have lost, take your defeat and hope that you will be able to, next time around, defend yourself, defend your title, defend your position, cause your team to win. But this thing about we beat you and we beat you, that is childish, that is immature, that is inappropriate, clearly not sending the right signal to our young people and the rest of the society. So let us hear. Rick Wayne called me yesterday, and he alerted me to a particular statement that was made by the Speaker of the House and the talk show host on his Monday program. So You heard Rick relating what the speaker said, but let us listen to the speaker in his own words.
But that kind of reticence on the part of Labour Party supporters. Fight back! Fight fire with fire! You see me right now? I'm taking them on head on now. No more Mr. Nice Guy. You want to interfere with me? And I keep telling you, no, I don't care. When I'm fighting, if my opponent is a dwarf or a giant, I'm fighting with all the ammunition at my disposal. All. I ain't saying, well, because it's a dwarf, let me use a catapult. And because it's a giant, I'm going to use a bazooka. Dwarf to giant, getting bazooka. Because you do not deal with... You ever have Baygon spraying, you spraying Baygon to knock out mosquitoes? No. Get rid of them completely. Move the mosquitoes, the irritants. So the time for the gloves are over.
So what are we saying there to supporters of the St. Lucia Labour Party? If it's one thing, we are not violent people. We don't fight literally over politics. We do so verbally, via the talk shows, in terms of people openly demonstrating that they support a party, SLP or the UWP, by wearing the T-shirts, making their presence felt on the hustings of the various political meetings, things of that nature. The violence that has happened in Jamaica brought under some level of control. It has happened in Guyana. It has happened to a certain extent in Trinidad, but not St. Lucia. We can avoid that. And to hear that kind of rhetoric coming from the supporter of a political party which won the last general election handsomely, you wonder what would be the current situation here if the SLP had lost last year's general election. Again, we have to learn to coexist in our country. We have to understand that we should not be thin-skinned, irrespective of whether the salvos are coming from a dwarf or a giant, a black person or a white person. You come back verbally, you clear the air on a particular issue, but I don't think you have to insult people. And the SLP of late, kind of words that they're using to describe other people, making reference to people who are short, dwarf, big belly people, etc. I mean, the world is watching and the world is listening. And those are the same individuals who cry foul whenever they feel, because of their stature, physical appearance, etc., people are taking digs at them. Imagine somebody were to attack the MP for Miku North verbally and make all kind of unacceptable statements about the fact that he lost a leg and so on. You see, I mean, we ought not to do that. We can be a lot more mature as a people, and we need to hear from more influential people on the island. There's some people I could call some names, some associations, some bodies to say, hey, watch the rhetoric. So there's one particular individual who will not stand for being intimidated by anyone. So let's listen to the clip again of Claudius, and in there you will hear from a particular female.
But that kind of reticence on the part of Labour Party supporters. Fight back! Fight fire with fire! You see me right now? I'm taking them on head on now.
Move the speaker from the house. Move the speaker from the house. Move the speaker from the house.
No more Mr. Nice Guy. You want to interfere with me? And I keep telling you, no, I don't care. When I'm fighting, if my opponent is a dwarf or a giant, I'm fighting with all the ammunition at my disposal.
St. Lucia, Speaker of the House of Representatives, one of the people who holds the highest office of the land in St. Lucia, is trying to intimidate St. Lucians into silence. This government is becoming more and more of a dictatorship, a communist country by the way they're operating. And these threats, these tactics to intimidate St. Lucians into silence, I will not stand for it.
Or, I ain't saying, well, because it's a dwarf, let me use a catapult. And because it's a giant, I'm going to use a bazooka. Dwarf to giant, getting bazooka. Because you do not deal with, you ever a baygon you spraying baygon to knock out mosquitoes? No. Get rid of them completely. Move the mosquitoes, the irritants. So the time for the gloves are over.
Yes, so Claudius, that's what you think you are. You're the Speaker of the House of Representatives in St. Lucia, but you think you're a bully, calling St. Lucians irritants? Your government cannot take any criticism, legitimate criticism, but you want to come and bully and intimidate St. Lucians into silence? And people are supposed to be afraid of you? Well, let me tell you something, Claudius Francis. I'm Minerva Ward. I am not afraid of you. You want gloves? Let's bring the gloves.
Move the speaker from the house. Move the speaker from the house.
Now, this is one such occasion we should, Mr. Producer, exercise some patience. I honestly believe on this occasion we should be exercising some patience, cool out, put the gloves back on, because, and the patience we're exercising is in song, okay? Is in song, not in terms of rhetoric, but in terms of singing and saying, be patient, be patient. And again, we have to make reference to the political leader of the SLP when he said that 4 years is not 40 years and 5 years is not 50 years. We must take control of our emotions. Be less emotional. Don't act on the basis of our instincts, but on the basis of our intellect. And definitely we can do better than that. Absolutely, we can do better than that. In a moment, I'll be taking your calls at 452-2979, 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. But for now, patience, my people. Patience.
You say you want it right now, but you can't have it right now. You gotta wait for it, wait for it. It's gonna be worth it. B-A-T-I-E-N-C-E. You gotta wait for 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 it. Hey, what you want today? Maybe a brand new toy or a video game. I know you want it right now, right here today, but it may not be the right time. So let patience lead you on, cause sometimes you gotta wait for what you really want. Now don't you go forget the words to this song. Now everybody sing along. B-A-T-I-E-N-C-E. You gotta wait for it. B-A-T-I-E-N-C-E. You gotta wait for it. B-A-T-I-E-N-C-E. You gotta wait for it. B-A-T-I-E-N-C-E. You gotta wait for it.
Your calls right now on 452-2979, 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You are on the air. Good afternoon to you, caller.
Hello, Tim.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon to
You
you.
would never find classy Peter Foster behaving like that. Classy Peter Foster behaving like that.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much for calling. 452-2979, 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Let me turn my attention to the chat room. Let me see if I can have one comment there just before we take a call. Okay. All right, let's take the call. Good afternoon. NewsSpin, you're on the air. Hello.
Good afternoon, Tim.
Hi. Good afternoon to you, caller. Good afternoon to you, caller.
Good afternoon. Afternoon, Tim. How you doing?
I'm okay, caller.
Tim, the Speaker of the House, those utterances, unfortunate, embarrassing, sickening utterances coming from the Speaker of the House, Claudius Francis. The man was selling salvos at you, Tim.
No, I won't say that.
Indirectly, the,
No, I won't say that.
the man said he could be a dwarf. I'm not no pun intended.
Caller, we have, so I'm the only dwarf in St. Lucia. We have so many dwarfs. Come on, can't be me.
Team, the man was saying, the man said he would use his bazooka. But team, on a serious note, this is the most embarrassing statement coming from a Speaker of the House. Team, how low can this Labour Party government get? How low? A Speaker of the House, a man who's supposed to know better, who is presiding over the Parliament of St. Lucia, overpassing laws, is threatening citizens of a country, St. Lucia, because they're exercising their constitutional right of freedom of speech. And today he's still sitting as Speaker of the House of Assembly, and St. Lucians just stay passive and say nothing. Tim, how low can this go? How low can we go as a country? What kind of governance we have in St. Lucia? I mean, this is serious, you know, Tim. A Speaker of the House of Assembly, in any civilized country, that Speaker would have had to resign or be fired. Tim, it's a sad day for St. Lucia. And the kind of governance that we're getting under this current Labour Party government, it's embarrassing. The world is laughing at us. We are laughing stock of the world, of the Caribbean. And Tim, something has to be done civilly to rescue our country from the hands of this incompetent, this embarrassing Labour Party government. I rest my case there.
Thank you so much. In the chat room, somebody says, if the Speaker of the House lived in Ontario, Canada, this would apply under Section 3191. And it says there, just trying to access it, it says there, everyone who by communicating statements in a public place incites hatred against any identifiable group, please bear with me, where such incitement is unlikely to lead to a breach of the peace is guilty of an indictable offense. We have a call. Good afternoon, NewsSpin. You are on the air.
Good afternoon, Tim.
Hi, good afternoon to you, caller.
Tim, when you have guys like those guys holding high position in government office, making them kind of statement about Kalapol and bazooka and things, Tim, what I see right now there, Senator going a wrong way. Senator going the wrong way because I think, well, Senator getting into a bloody place just now. Tim, and tell you to him, you say, well, thousands for you. That bazooka, if you escape the Kalapol, you could survive the Kalapol. But Tim, you can't survive the bazooka. Can you give the bazooka, Tim, you finish it?
Well, caller, bazookas can also backfire. I could tell you that. They can backfire.
Tim, a bazooka? If you get a national bazooka, Tim, you finish.
Who, me?
And that goes for both you and you.
Caller, you're surprised I'll survive that.
Okay, thank you.
Why you think I'm so short? I survived the bazooka.
Tim, you know what? You know what happened, Tim? Them first want you and Ukraine out of the radio station. They want you all to be on radio station. Remember one day what your father as he said tell you?
Mm-hmm. Be careful.
Be careful.
Yeah.
He said be careful. Remember what as he tell you one day on the radio station?
Yeah, I remember.
So that's why I don't want you all to be on the radio station because you're all imitating the system. Thank you, Tim.
Okay. Very soon, who knows? Somebody might put pen to paper, write the owners of this radio station, the board of directors of this radio station, and say to them, I really want him to be off the airwaves of Power 97.9 FM. Get this guy out. Because he's causing too much trouble in the country. He's causing too much trouble with the St. Lucia Labour Party, with politics in St. Lucia. And who knows, the owner or the directors might acquiesce and say, okay, sir, and before you know it, I'll get a letter saying to him, not for any specific reason, at this point in time, just believe that your show should not be on this radio station. And as I've done over the last several years, I'll gladly take my bag, drag it off, and head somewhere else. This is NewsSpin. 452-2979. 452-2979. Your WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. We have another call via WhatsApp as we say hello and good afternoon. You are on the air.
Yes, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Tim, I'm talking about whatever is a discussion or whatever Shasney have to go between Richard Frederick, Onesile, but both time it look like it's Richard Frederick have to represent that thing. So what you are expecting in this thing going on there? You're expecting nothing good in favor of Shastley going in this whatever discussion. It's just like a court thing, Tim. Like the magistrate or the whatever, the judge, whatever is against you, and you go in there. So you're expecting something good from Shastley to come out from there. That result you could find. You believe Shastley could get no good result in that thing going on there.
Does it matter before the privileges committee?
How they call it? Whatever they say, they have to take Shastley for
the privileges committee.
Allegation they make against Richard Frederick. So honestly, they cannot go. It's Richard Frederick that have to represent him. And plus, you have a next one between you and Richard Frederick for the visa, whatever he said. Shastley said that he had a 3 days visa. So if the man said that you had a 3 days visa, all you have to do present your documentation or passport or whatever to prove him that he was a liar. He's a liar. So all the time he said that. So what you have to do, you bring your passport showing that I had more than a 3 days visa. That's it. But you cannot bring nothing to say that. All the time you keep on saying that the one thing, and you will never bring no documentation to saying that he is a liar. You have to prove the man is a liar. If you believe that you had more days than 3 days visa, bring in your document. It's best Shastley don't even go in that thing, man, because he won't come out there. That will never come out good in favor of it. Never. A man that just didn't use this kind of language there, you mean to tell me you have to face him almost like a judge to you? It's best you don't even go there because it's Papi Show, Papi Show itself there, if you go there. And to me, 15 to 2. I counted like 17-2. 17-2. Why this government have so much thing in them and they win an election so with all this wide margin? You could imagine if this guy had lost this election, maybe revolution in St. Lucia, man. Revolution in St. Lucia. As it's 2 man on the opposite side. 2 man. And you are at 17.
15-2.
So I don't think this don't make sense, man. This don't make sense. Like, I don't understand that, man. 2 man. No, 1 man, this kind of, they not talk about Bradley. It's Shastley. So I believe all what the Labour Party want to do, they want to run down Shastley, so he go say give up, because they realize that if this man is in government, they don't have a chance going back in government again. So they want to frustrate him, so he go say give up, that he out of politics. That's what they want to do. That's only what they want. It's 2 man they wanted to, is Shastley and Guy. Okay, they get rid of Guy. They cannot get rid of Shastley. So why, man? 2 man, just let it run. Do whatever you all know of doing.
Okay, caller.
Because at the time
all right. Thank you so much. Let's take another call. Good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You are on the air. Good afternoon. Hello. Let's try again. Good afternoon to you, caller. All right, we'll lose that call. 452-2979, 452-2979. Along with your WhatsApp calls and messages, 716-2026. Let's see if we have another call in line. Good afternoon. Hello.
Timothy, pleasant good afternoon to you and your listeners and your international listeners all over the world. Welcome to the Banana Republic of St. Lucia. Timothy, have no illusions, Timothy, today that this government is an elitist cabal of rebels. And I can tell you that, Timothy. Timothy, allow me to do my presentation for today. Timothy, please. Timothy, my fellow St. Lucians, I will never be a member of a governing party that will play the race card. I will never be a member of a governing party that uses obscene language in parliament. I will never be a member of a governing party that supports a member of their party that walks into a church and disrupts service. I will never be a member of a governing party that uses threat tactics, bullying of its citizens. I will never be a member of a governing party that has a member that is charged for perversing the course of justice. I will never be a member of a governing party that keeps people in poverty. And I will never be a member of a party that lacks vision. And also, I will never be a member of a party that cares about its citizens, that doesn't care about its citizens during the COVID pandemic financially. I will never be a part of a party that refused to give its people a referendum to join the CCG, and I will never be a part of a party that puts people that are not qualified to serve in positions that they're not qualified for. I will never be a part of a party that has a reputation and also characters that are unquestionable. I will never be a part of a party that has a member that has questions about the importation of a vehicle. And I will never be a member of a party that will never complete St. Jude Hospital and the International Airport within 5 years. I refuse to be a member of a party that doesn't present to St. Lucians a livable wage and also bring down the unemployment rate. I will never be a member of a governing party that does not put people first. And the last one, I will never be a member of a party that will not give us medical attention, medical insurance within 5 years. Timothy, I'm looking for a government of the people, by the people, for the people. PW, thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, sir. Somebody says that the politicians know that it does not matter what they say or do. Their die-hard supporters will rally around them. The bar is very low for public officials in St. Lucia. They know the public does not expect or want more than chicken and beer. For the most part, the voters who put them in power don't know better. So they do not get better. Still to come, we'll be hearing a part of a contribution made yesterday by a particular caller. You are watching NewsSpin right here on our NewsSpin Facebook page. We are also on YouTube, and you're listening on Power 97.9 FM.
Lazarus's Funeral Home is here for you. Lazarus's Private Cemetery offers a peaceful resting place for your loved ones. With tranquil settings, visitation, and reflection, we believe in the compassionate care of all our departed loved ones. Lazarus's Private Cemetery, let us help you create a final resting place. Make it special. Make it Lazarus's Funeral Home, your friend in a time of need. Payment plans are available for tombs. Call us in Vidbuta at 452-7491 or in New Dock Road, VA4, 454-6555.
Night Meds is your dependable neighborhood pharmacy. You'll notice that upon entry, you are greeted by caring professional staff, attentive to your every need. Your prescriptions are always treated with a high degree of confidentiality, and we pride ourselves on providing speedy, efficient service. We carry a wide array commonly requested over-the-counter products, and our prices are very competitive. We offer blood pressure testing, blood sugar, and cholesterol testing. We're open to fill your prescriptions Monday to Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Come visit Sadu's gas station on the Miku Highway or call us at 572-6840 or WhatsApp 461-6840 for more information. Night Meds Pharmacy. We are your community med store.
Lucilec is advising customers and the general public that its customer service office at Sans Souci is closed until further notice. The closure is out of an abundance of caution for the health and safety of staff and customers to facilitate unforeseen remedial work to address air quality issues resulting from some equipment failure. The company's customer service offices in Rodney Bay and Viewfort and its remote options are all available to serve the public with Lucilec's full suite of services, including bill queries and payments. Lucilec regrets any inconvenience caused to its customers and thanks them for their patience and understanding.
We heard you. And now we are answering. Elks City of Castries Cooperative Credit Union is happy to offer you, our valued customers, the most amazing deal to own your piece of St. Lucia. From now until December 31st, enjoy an interest rate of 4.5% with a deposit of 5% to help you purchase house and land only, or put up a structure on your existing property. And it gets better. Legal fees are included in your mortgage. Call us at 452-6820 or 453-2951 or email us at info@elkscreditunion.com. Terms and conditions apply. Elks City of Castries Cooperative Credit Union, building a stronger community, one member at a time.
Ancillary Events presents the Creole Food and Rum Festival, Sunday, October 16th, 2022, live at the Corinth Playing Field, featuring all the way from Dominica, the Triple K Band. The Triple K Band. Admission only $30 at the gates. Gates open from 12 noon. Booths are available. Contact 722-4118 for more information. Come experience the ultimate sounds of bouillon music from the #1 bouillon band in the Caribbean, Triple K. Tell a friend to tell a friend. It's going down Sunday the 16th of October, live at the Corinth Playing Field for the Creole Food and Rum Festival. Sponsored by Silver Sponsor, Digicel, IDC Construction, Pitobe, Bounty Rum, N&N Minimart, MBC, Power 97.9 FM. Sunday, October 16th, 2022, the Creole Food and Rum Festival.
To have a Speaker of the House on a show having the gumption to tell people that right now, as a member of the Labour Party, a leading member of the party, he's fed up with people attacking the Labour Party, and now any dwarf that attacks him on the basis of the Labour Party or what, he's coming up with a bazooka, which is a borderline anyway. But the Speaker of the House is venting on a show and boldly telling the population, in effect, you have a Speaker of the House on a show having the gumption to tell people that right now, as a member of the Labour Party, a leading member of the party, he's fed up with people attacking the Labour Party, and now any dwarf that attacks him on the basis of the Labour Party or what, he's coming up with a bazooka, which is a borderline anyway. But the Speaker of the House is venting on a show and boldly telling the population, in effect, you mess with me about the Labour Party and we are going to attack.
So when was that comment made?
Last night.
Wow, okay.
And he's going to attack. He's no more Mr. Good Guy. I mean, that takes a lot of gonads to do that when you're Speaker of the House. But I have no doubt we'll be hearing a lot more, because I will become a very dangerous target. I know, I anticipate it, and I'm waiting for them with, and that's not a threat, it's a promise. They will be dumb enough to figure, let's go after Rick Wayne. And boy. But I'm not doing it for the people of St. Lucia. I am doing it because I am not going to stand foolishness in my own personal life in any respect. But I'm putting St. Lucians on guard. Don't look for Rick Wayne anymore to be sticking his neck out on your behalf. Get up your butt and stick yourself out for your own behalf. And don't criticize what I stand for, what I don't stand for. None of your goddamn business. It's what you stand for that matters in the final analysis. And I'm almost tempted to say to them, screw you all for tolerating mediocrity and making it part of your everyday lives.
But that kind of reticence on the part of Labour Party supporters, fight back. Fight fire with fire. You see me right now? I taking them on head on now. No more Mr. Nice Guy. You want to interfere with me? And I keep telling you, I don't care. When I'm fighting, if my opponent is a dwarf or a giant, I'm fighting with all the ammunition at my disposal. All. I ain't saying, well, because it's a dwarf, let me use a catapult, and because it's a giant, I'm going to use a bazooka. Dwarf to giant getting bazooka. Because you do not deal with, you ever have Baygon you spraying Baygon to knock out mosquitoes? No. Get rid of them completely. Move the mosquitoes, the irritants. So the time for the gloves are over.
Your calls now at 452-2979, 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages, 716-2026. Good afternoon, you are on the air. 2979. Good afternoon to you, caller.
Good afternoon, Timothy.
Hi, good afternoon to you.
Timothy.
The music, the audio in the background, turn it off, please, caller. And then you can continue. Go ahead, sir.
I'm away from it. Timothy, would you say that when Claudius was making those statements on his show that he was still a Speaker of the House?
Yes, he was still a Speaker, yeah.
So, Timothy, if a few weeks ago you had this young man who came out and said, shoot the police and all that kind of thing, right? He's a little nobody from a little constituent, and he was arrested for making certain statements that he made. The Speaker of the House, which is such a prestigious position, the Speaker can come and talk about Mazuka and I take them on head on. Timothy, don't you think both of them are in the same bracket? One is a nobody and one is somebody who holds a prestigious position. So what's the difference with the two?
Well, in St. Lucia, caller, we turn a blind eye when certain people, and a deaf ear when certain people say certain things or do certain things. And we only seek to discipline people who believe who appear to be defenseless, and we describe as ordinary individuals or fellas from the block.
So, Timothy, I hold a position on the United Workers' Party in one of the constituencies. So, if I were to come out and make that statement Claudius make there, you think that would have gone down well with the police and the rest of the rest of the society and the rest of the civil society in St. Lucia?
Well, forget being a member holding a position on a United Workers' Party constituency group, but as a citizen, I think somebody will be taking you to task. Particularly talking about bazookas and so on.
I'm saying, Timothy, people don't need to agitate about when people make those statements. It's supposed to be an automatic thing. You make statements like that with the position that you hold. You no longer can hold these positions. It's supposed to be an automatic thing. We don't have to make noise for persons to understand that they cannot make those statements and just walk away and think that it's okay that I can make it. Timothy, look at the amount of murders in St. Lucia by persons who have been shot by persons who have used guns and otherwise to kill people in St. Lucia. We have a crisis on our hand right now. Persons who are in authority and in a leadership position need not make statements like that, because remember, you have an audience, you have a bit of persons who follow you, and if you are a leader, you will lead by example. Whatever you put out there is what the people who follow you will continue to do. So if you come and you're talking about Mazuka and I take them on head on, so who is the average Joe Blow that supports you, that owns a gun, who believes, oh, if my boss goes say I can do that, then I can do it, he going to do that, I can do it too. Because we lead by example. Just like an artist who goes on a show and he's singing and you'd say, mash up the fence and tear down this and tear down that. The crowd will follow you and they will mash up the fence and they'll tear down this and they'll tear down that. So when you are in these positions, you need to be very careful the statements that you make. And I'm so disappointed in Claudius. Oh, well, let me take that back. I'm not disappointed in Claudius because I know Claudius to be that kind of person. He's somebody who say whatever he wants and he feels nobody can challenge him. But Timothy, Claudius needs to be challenged for that statement. Because at the end of the day, when people think little simple things may happen to supporters of different parties, and what do you think we'll attribute it to? Claudius came out and he had already said that's what we should do, and you're advising your followers of the Labour Party to go ahead and take them on. No, these followers you're talking about, they don't have a boundary, you know. They don't know when to stop. They just know that they're going to defend their party. We have a party who just won election to come out with a slogan and say, protect your victory. But you have already won. The victory is yours. It's yours for 5 years. What you have to protect again? Timothy, I mean, we take all these things and people just use words loosely and they get away with it. But we need to look at these things at face value. It's about time that we take words to mean what they mean. What you mean by protect your victory, that you're going to fight, you're going to kill, you're going to do. Because if I am the one interpreting what you say, I am left to interpret it to whatever meaning that I think it should be. So when you say protect your victory, what does it mean? What does it mean? What you just won an election? What does that mean, Timothy? That's what I want to understand. What does it mean to say protect your victory? Can you explain that to me?
I can't explain it, sir. You will have to pose that question to the Prime Minister of this country. But you are right when you say that people will have their own interpretation of certain things, and it may not always be in a law-abiding way or some manner that is free of violence.
But you need to be held accountable for the statements that you make, because and I'm saying as somebody who sits around different persons from different walks of life. I heard the fellas on the block, like Ernest said, he heard the fellas on the block and they say, boss man, what we go do with the lockdown and all them kind of things. But these fellas are still sitting on the block, and they're going to interpret that the things that his government has been saying. So we forget these fellas on the block. We forget their level of interpretation. Claudius, Timothy, I keep saying Claudius, but Claudius needs to be held accountable for that statement. And as a Speaker of the House, I think he no longer should be the Speaker of the House. He himself, we don't even wait for people to make noise and resign. He should have just resigned forthwith and go in the battlefield and fight the cause of the Labour Party. Because as a Speaker of the House, while you are appointed by a political party, but you're supposed to show some neutralness, stating that right is right and wrong is wrong. But when you do all these kind of things, and look yesterday in the House, you will allow Ernest Healy to appoint Richard Frederick to sit on his behalf as somebody who has a case with that very same individual. Is there any justice in that, Timothy? I mean, we need to look at that at face value. We all have our political parties that we support and our biases, but right don't have no bias. Right is right and wrong is wrong. You can't be on both sides of the fence. You cannot be right and wrong at the same time. What he's doing, that is wrong. And you just made that statement last night, and tomorrow you're in the House, and you allowing this thing to go through. Murphy, clearly we can see what's going. We can see where St. Lucia is heading. We can see that the House of Parliament, that's the road we allowing House of Parliament to go down. Murphy, that's ludicrous. Anyway.
Thank you so much. Let's see if we have a WhatsApp call as we say hello and good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You are on the air. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tim.
Hi, good afternoon, caller.
Tim, I do not, do you remember a few years ago, do you remember that Claudius Francis said, or he came over the media and said that he had some persons wanted to get rid of him and whatnot, and whether he would leave media completely. He wanted to stay out of media and whatnot. Could you remember that?
Yes, I remember that he hosted a press conference on that particular issue, yes.
Right, so around that time, why didn't he said we would fight fire with fire? Why around that time he could not say, well, he would take it as much as he wants and do whatever he have to do? Why he did not say that? Tim, I feel right now what Claudius Francis should do, step down as the position that he have. Step down in the House. Okay, just step down. That is what Claudius Francis should do right now. And if you see that continue, St. Lucia, the world is seeing what St. Lucia is like right now. Thank you, Tim.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Another call. 452-2979, 452-2979. Good afternoon. This is NewsSpin. You on the air?
Good afternoon, Tim.
Hi, good afternoon, caller.
I have been listening with interest. I didn't listen yesterday, but I've been listening with interest today on your callers. And I also heard the tape that you played of Rick. And let me first say that Rick's statement is a misrepresentation of Claudius' statement.
In terms of
because what Claudius said in the first instance, that he was personally attacked and that he would no longer take it, that he took it for a long time and that he would no longer take it. And then he said that the Labour Party supporters must themselves also not take those attacks and personal attacks and so on, and they must fight back as well. So you have to take that into consideration. Secondly, you have to take Claudius' statement into context of the fact he was referring to the war on words, the war of words that is targeted against him and targeted against members of the Labour Party. So he's saying that he's going to vehemently attack as well, right, on with his war of words. He never said it was a weapon. He used that as a metaphor. And we know we are educated enough to know that. So people is nonsense you tell about is encouraging.
Okay,
people
but you
to
see,
put,
but
you know,
Shazzy,
you know not the truth.
Shazzy,
You know not the facts.
Shazzy.
Yes.
Just listen to me. What the callers have been saying is that we have to be careful when we're using words because we could send the wrong impression there to individuals who are not so responsible when they hear certain things. They would take things in a literal form. There are some individuals. Hold on, caller. Hold on, Shazzy. There are some. You have some nutheads out there. We have some crazy people out there. Shazzy, we have some crazy people out there. I remember once covering a public meeting of the St. Lucia Labour Party on the market steps. Okay, famous meeting. Reference was made to media terrorists and call. And you know the people were agitated. Some of the people wanted to. Hold on.
Jim,
Hold on. You know some of the, hold on, Shazzy. Some of the people wanted to attack me because of what was being said about me on the platform.
Watch you and the jail.
Those things, listen, Shazzy, you were too busy focusing on what was happening on the platform to focus on me and where I was. Okay?
Tim, I was right next to you, Tim.
So I'm just telling you, caller. I'm just telling you, especially in this environment of Ukraine and Russia, and the kind of weapons that the police are taking from people, from criminal elements in our country. And by the way, let me take the opportunity to commend the police. Over the last few weeks, they have been doing some great job in solving crimes and taking guns and ammunition from people and so on. In that environment, in that environment, we have to be very, very careful what we say and the message that we send out there to the people of St. Lucia.
You might, because I heard about 2 or 3 callers. One of them spent almost an hour.
Go ahead, Shazzy.
First thing, on your case, Tim, I said it to you, and I said it again. I was right next to you when it was said.
Let me tell you.
I saw people. Listen to me.
Go ahead.
I saw people cheering towards you. Nobody threatened you.
Let me tell you, Shazzy. Shazzy, I don't want to belabor that point. It did not happen to you. No, listen, please. Let me not belabor that point. It did not happen to you. So from your, okay, I'll have to, thank you so much. Because what you're saying is not a fact, and you do not want to hear my side of the story. Don't tell me you were right there and you saw people were jeering at me, okay? Context, and Shazzy, it's more nuanced than that. And most sensible people, particularly people overseas, who are watching and listening to this broadcast and who understand words, the meaning of words, the effects that words can have on people, would tell you that we have to be very, very careful what we say, especially now in this climate of ours. This is NewsSpin. Good afternoon. You on the air?
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, caller.
Hi. 2 things. When I was not offended when the former Prime Minister said that I don't have to answer every dog that barks and let the jackass bray, because I understood what his language meant. And in the same way, I'm not offended by these statements, but yet some of us, because it's an opportunity to gain mileage, we pretend not to understand, in the same way that the Labour Party supporters pretended not to know what the former Prime Minister meant. UWP supporters likewise are pretending not to understand exactly what is being said. And I think too much is being made of that. But yesterday, like there was talk about the CTJ and the referendum and whatnot. And I want to make the point that I think any referendum that we hold in St. Lucia is a waste of time, simply because there are huge swaths of the population that are manipulated by political parties. And whatever their political leader says, that's what they will do. And the thing about it is that there are not enough independent voters, especially if the referendum has something like a 60% threshold, instead of that ridiculous 51% that they had in Brexit. If it was anything like if there's anything like a 60% threshold, no referendum on any subject will pass if any political leader of any party, especially an opposition party, does not want it to. Because sometimes what leaders of the opposition do. They want to test their popularity, so they say, let's vote no. I think that's what happened in St. Vincent a few years ago. St. Vincent had some sensible amendments to their constitution proposed, and the opposition saw it as a way to get a victory over Ralph, right? And so what ended up being, what should have been a very sensible constitutional amendment in St. Vincent ended up falling prey and falling victim to politics. And if we do, the same thing would happen here. And you notice that the leader of the opposition has not committed himself to saying that he's for or against the CCJ. Because he wants to make, if a referendum is announced, I would bet money that he will automatically vote, that he will automatically become against it.
But let me ask you, caller, don't you think the preponderance of concern on the part of the people of St. Lucia would be on the basis, as far as CCJ is concerned, would be on the basis that they do not trust the system? They believe that politicians interfere in the work of the judiciary, as opposed to them being political.
When let me tell you, when the CCJ was first proposed, I was against it. And I said to myself at the time, okay, what if, at the time, I think Mario Michel had recently left government and become a judge. I said, what if somebody like Mario Michel ends up on the CCJ, right? And for that reason, I was against it. I would say because it's too easy for it's too easy for something like that to happen. Now, after decades of the CCJ being in service and issuing decisions and rendering decisions, that concern for me is gone. And I suspect that's the same thing that's the same position that Claudius is in, because I remember Prime Minister Anthony was for the CCJ and Claudius was against it, right? And they're on the same political side. But Claudius was for maintaining the Privy Council.
But you remember, if you read the article that was reproduced in the Star this week, a lot of the reasons that Claudius wrote in that article, those have not changed, you know, in terms of trust in the CCJ and the perception that politicians can interfere, how judges are appointed, who would appoint the judges. Those things have not changed.
Right, but I think the track record of the CCJ now should be able to stand in its own defense. At that time, the CCJ had no track record. It was an unknown quantity, right? But now, it has proved itself. I mean, it has ruled against governments.
Government Barbados and the Myra.
Yeah, in different cases, governments have come out on the wrong side of those rulings. I remember one, and I think I said this on the show before, the former Prime Minister of Barbados said, what's the sense in being, this is our Frondell Stewart, what's the sense of being in the CCJ if they keep ruling against us? Imagine that, a Prime Minister was saying that. So apparently the independence of the CCJ was annoying him. You know, and the fact that they didn't feel they didn't tend to favor the government. But I think the CCJ's record, I think, should be allowed to stand in its defense. Like I said, I had mixed misgivings, as I mentioned previously, about former politicians ending up as judges on the court. But that was before I saw the CCJ function.
The other point I want to make to you, caller, before we conclude, is that there clearly the CCJ came into existence in the early 2000s, 2001, 2005, thereabout. But there has not been sufficient public education in St. Lucia on the court.
That is true. I mean, I remember when it was first brought up earlier on this year, I was speaking to someone who said he didn't even know what the CCJ was. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, if we're going to ask people to vote on something like that, that would make absolutely no sense.
Okay, so why go ahead and join the court? Why make it our court of last resort if the people have not been sufficiently educated on it? It seems something rushed.
I think it's simply because there's an opportunity. Well, after 20 years, I don't know if it's a rush anymore. I don't know if we can consider it a rush. I think that the government is realizing that, look, we can get it done without a referendum. We don't know when again we're going to have a 2/3 majority, so let's take advantage of that. I think that's the rush. I think that's the urgency. Let's make use. And I don't know why, remember the constitutional amendments that they spent, the Justice Dover and her committee worked on?
Yeah, the whole thing on reforming the Constitution, not the amendment, reforming the Constitution.
That ought to be brought up as well. With all these things need to be brought up as well. They're getting swept under the rug just because, no government from since from since 2001 has had a 2/3 majority. Right, and this is the first time a government, I think, has had a genuine opportunity to go to the CCJ without a referendum. And I think that is what is probably driving the timetable.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. Enjoy the exchange. Let's hear from former Prime Minister and political leader of the United Workers' Party, Mr. Alan Chasney, speaking on the CCJ, the Caribbean Court of Justice.
Look what's going on with the CCJ. You would have thought that a government that was elected on the promise of putting people first and being people-centric and trust the people, that they would have been the first to say to have a referendum. But no, 15 people who got 26% of the popular vote in St. Lucia, they want to make the decisions for everyone.
The leader of the parliamentary opposition, Mr. Alan Chasney, speaking on the Caribbean Court of Justice. More of your calls in just a moment, and who knows, we might have a surprise or two. You never know what to expect on this program. You're watching NewsSpin on Facebook, we're on YouTube, and listening to us as well on Power 97.9 FM.
Exceeding your expectations is what we strive for at Lazarus Funeral Home. Losing a loved one isn't something you can foresee. Since the beginning, affordability has been one of our priorities. Every day we're proving that burials don't have to be expensive. If cost is a factor in your time of bereavement, call Lazarus Funeral Home. We have coffins starting at $800 plus taxes. Nothing can cause more disappointment than poor quality. Help us help you keep your last memory of your loved one sacred. Make it special. Make it Lazarus Funeral Home, your friend in a time of need. Located at Bibliotheque Castries at 452-7491 and New Dock Road V4 at 454-6555.
Lucelec is advising customers and the general public that its customer service office at Sans Souci is closed until further notice. The closure is out of an abundance of caution for the health and safety of staff and customers to facilitate unforeseen remedial work to address air quality issues resulting from some equipment failure. The company's customer service offices in Rodney Bay and Viewfort and its remote options are all available to serve the public with Lucelec's full suite of services, including bill queries and payments. Lucelec regrets any inconvenience caused to its customers and thanks them for their patience and understanding.
Switching your mortgage is easy and hassle-free with First National Bank. Make that smart move today and enjoy an affordable interest rates, convenient payment plan, and other great benefits. Make your home equity work for you and get 100% financing. Call us today at 455-7127 or 455-7000. The time to switch is now. Terms and conditions apply. First National Bank, here for you.
Bundle, bundle, yeah. Bundle, bundle, floor. Bundle, 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 sale. Tap up, yeah. Tap up, mad. Chop up, tap up, tap up, tap up, tap up. Look at the place covered. Look at the place covered. Browse all you want. Post all you want.
Win big with Flow! Tickets to the biggest shows, water park passes, costumes, over $20,000 in cash, data, and more! Activate a 3, 7, or 30-day combo plan. Pay up your bill, switch to Flow, bundle up your chance to win every day!
Bundle, bundle, yeah. Bundle, bundle. Bundle, 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 sale. Tap up, yeah. Tap up, mad. Chop up, tap up, tap up, tap up, tap up. Look at the place covered. Look at the place covered. Browse all you want. Post all you want. Look at the place covered. Look at the place covered. Do what you want. Watch what you want.
Bundle now and get a smartphone for only $99. Switch now!
Come experience Bonjour Creole Breakfast Fete. Bonjour for the food, the vibe, and the frolic. Bonjour Creole Breakfast Fete, featuring entertainment by superstar DJs, a live band, and pulsating solo. Saturday, October 29th, Andrew Treat Masquerade from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. Early bird tickets, $90. Regular, $125, inclusive of buffet breakfast. Dress code, Creole Chic. Saturday, October 29th, Andrew Treat Masquerade. Bonjour Creole Breakfast Fat, Vinny Amize Call. Sponsored by Power 97 FM, St. Lucia Distillers, Heineken, Peter and Company, and Blue Waters.
For the broadcast, our NewsSpin news of the day, and also we have, that's a fact, even the President of the United States of America, Joseph Biden, is making reference to that's a fact. So he too watches or listens to NewsSpin.
That's a fact.
What he said, Mr. Producer?
That's a fact.
Let me listen. That's the president saying that?
That's a fact.
So we have a WhatsApp call online as we say hello and good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You are on the air. Hello.
Hi, Tim.
Hi, good
How
afternoon
are
to
you?
you. I'm okay.
Yeah, this is Dominic Fede.
Hi, good afternoon to you, Senator.
Yeah. Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your listeners. Tim, if you will allow me, I would just like to make a brief comment about the CCJ. No doubt this is a very, very, very important decision that we would make as a country for or against. Tim, I overheard comments on your show this afternoon which really shut down a referendum. But I want to share some personal views that I have about the CCJ. It is clear to me, Tim, that the people of the Caribbean, not just in St. Lucia, they do not trust our judicial system. And so you cannot take the CCJ and extricate it from the existing or the entire judicial system. So take, for example, there must be a reason why the people of Antigua, the people of St. Vincent, the people of Grenada, when they have had the opportunity to have their say on the CCJ, they've all struck it down by way of a referendum. Those referendums have failed. Now, at least I can say that those governments have done the proper and decent thing to uphold democracy in their countries. And I believe that in St. Lucia, our government owe it to us. I don't think that 17 individuals in the House of Assembly it's proper for them alone to make the decision on our future. We have to all understand the very serious implications for the decisions that we're about to make. Now, my own view is that we are not ready for the CCJ. Tim, take for example, this situation we have in St. Lucia. I mean, our entire society, they don't trust the judicial system. They don't trust lawyers. There's clear examples. A lot of your listeners are aware of corruption among the legal fraternity that have affected them, where they have given lawyers monies to do transactions on their behalf. And those transactions have gone bad. You've got to sue those lawyers to get your money back. These lawyers, these magistrates, are the ones that are eventually going to become judges of the CCJ. We are not ready for this kind of system.
No, but
Where do you think the
Mr.
banks have
Senator,
a panel today?
hello, Mr. Senator.
Right?
In the case, you see, but I don't agree with what you're saying there with regard to the integrity of some lawyers and the fact that those lawyers can end up being on the CCJ, because I'm sure there'll be some level of vetting before they are appointed as judges to serve on the bench.
Yep, but Tim, why do you think the banks have a panel today? The banks have a panel because of the very same system, the same corrupt system that causes a lot of unease as it relates to the citizenry of this country. People just don't trust our lawyers. How could we have a justice system that people don't trust? So I believe that the referendum is one that would allow for the public sensitization to be held, and for us not to rush this, but for us to ensure that the people of St. Lucia understand the decision that we're about to make.
Finally, Opposition Senator, are you looking forward to the sitting of the Senate tomorrow, and who will be appointed President of the Senate?
I reserve my comments for the Senate when I see who the new president is. I will let you know what my views are on the whole situation. But the whole saga is a very, very sad day for St. Lucia when, you know, such an important constitutional office, which is about the third highest ranking office in our country, has now found itself embroiled in this kind of situation. It is a very, very sad day for our country. I know that the people on the other side are trying to blow smoke over the severity of the situation by trying to say that the Prime Minister handled this in the swiftest possible way. But Tim, you know, people are not charged overnight. You have to, for example, get a lot of evidence. And evidence, the police must be confident in the level of evidence that it would have obtained before it would have charged someone. So I'm sure that the Prime Minister knew that there was compelling evidence, enough evidence that would have substantiated a charge, and he would have, my guess is he would have known about this at least a few days ago before the announcement. So for me, this is something that we all must think very closely about. Of course, this matter is in court, and I don't want to say too much about it, but suffice it to say, I'm very, very disappointed in the manner with which the administration has handled it. I think now there's some ambiguity as to whether he's on leave. I've seen a couple of press reports which suggest that he may be on leave, even though his appointment is revoked. The Prime Minister must come out and say whether the revocation, what is meant by him saying that he's giving him time to sort out his legal matters. What is meant by that? The revocation, does it mean that if he's cleared of this this charge that he is going to come back if he's exonerated in the courts? We need to understand what really is going on. And for me, I'm not really clear as to what is the intended purpose of the revocation versus can we have Stanley Felix back as the president? That question to me still looms large in my mind, because when I see how the Prime Minister has responded to questions from the media, I don't get the sense that he's totally done and over and dusted with the former president.
All right, thank you so much for speaking with us. Just heard there from Opposition Senator Dominic Fede. Let's take another call. Good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You are on the air.
Tim.
Good afternoon to you.
I was trying to call you earlier because maybe you've corrected it, but you played a clip while mentioning my name that I said something, but what you played was another clip, and there was my picture with it. I don't know if you have since played the clip of me talking to you yet.
No, I played the clip. That's the exact clip. Your contribution yesterday. Something
happened yesterday, Tim. And a coincidence of yours, you know her quite well, and a long-time friend of mine, visited me yesterday, late afternoon. And she said to me, a friend of hers called her and said to her, I heard Rick Wayne on Timothy's show today. And I was so embarrassed. I felt so bad. So I said to her, I asked her, well, why? Not for 1 minute expecting this response. She said the lady felt so bad that she had not done anything in relation to the things I was talking about to you generally.
Okay.
And she still does not know what to do. How can she do anything? And I'm wondering how many St. Lucians there are who feel that way, not necessarily about the issue at hand, but who are just there pretty pissed off with things generally in St. Lucia, not necessarily, well, I have to change that, because everything is political, not necessarily partisan, in other words. Life in St. Lucia, so many things wrong with it, like, for example, the non-existent justice system, the whole idea of the government having a choice of going the way it went without a referendum or going with a referendum. People must understand that, Tim. The government had a choice. I think, by virtue of some law, they are allowed, they are free to go without a referendum in terms of the CCJ. And I repeat again, I have nothing at all to say bad about the CCJ. All right. But it occurred to me there were a lot of things that St. Lucians, concerned St. Lucians, they are concerned about, but they haven't a clue what to do about it. Because we have no groups here, no pressure groups, no organizations, no people you can turn to, and we don't even have an opposition at the moment. You see where we are, Tim?
We have no non-aligned groups, but we have groups. They're all of them have taken a position in terms of supporting one party or the other.
Tim,
But I get your point.
Am I speaking French? Why are you confusing the issue?
No. Early on, you said that we have no groups.
You get my point.
I get the gist of your point. Where people are feeling that they should have done something about.
For the moment, you just put a jam in my thing there, which I must explain. When I said there are no groups, there is no group that a person can go to with their feelings, how they feel about things in the country. No group of people can go there, etc. I meant that. And you said there were.
Mm-hmm.
But you said they were apparently sold out or whatever. I don't go there anymore. I'm telling you there are no such groups in this country that you could go to. Like at one time there was a thing called the Forum, and for a while it served great purpose, educating people of bringing issues. We don't even have a media. That's how bad things are. And I'm trying to point out, that there are a lot of people with that kind of frustration. And finally, they will say, like I said yesterday, screw it. The opposition has owed the publicans. And the opposition is not there only for people. The opposition, ideally, is supposed to be there to oppose anything that it figures requires opposing in the interest of the country.
You're correct, yeah.
And the government may make moves that members of its own party or supporters are not happy with. And if there is no group, no union, no body, no institution that you can go to, then we all, as I always tell myself, we all take it in the neck, whether we are red-stained or yellow-stained. So the existence of a thriving, vibrant opposition is imperative to democracy. Let me make it clearer still. I am very disturbed by what the speaker did there by choosing two particular guys who are notoriously at war with Alan Sassney, politically, in the courts, personally, that is better known than the Bible in St. Lucia.
But Rick, what are you talking about? Richard Frederick?
Yesterday, I'm talking about the speaker's choice of Ernest Hilaire and Richard Frederick to sit in judgment over a statement or statements made by
Alan Chastney.
Alan Chastney.
Yeah, but the choosing was done by Ernest Hilaire, not by the speaker. It was not done by the speaker.
Well, how did Ernest Hilaire get chosen?
Ernest apparently is a part of the Privileges Committee, so therefore
but who made him that?
Who made him what?
A member of the Privileges Committee.
Well, he prior to this, I think he was a part of the committee. He would have been part of the committee.
Tim, this is the first time in history that we are having an adventure with something called the Privileges Committee. First time in the history of St. Lucia.
No, I think it's the first time that they're taking such action, but the Privileges Committee, I think, always existed. I'm not too sure, but...
I'm not too sure, but please don't interrupt what I know. There is no Privileges Committee in mind, nothing at all. It was recent. As a matter of fact, I think, if I may be mistaken or not, I think your last sitting of the House, Claudia said they would be talking about setting it up. Okay? So when did Hilaire become a member of the Privileges Committee? And how come we don't know that? Shouldn't that be a matter of Parliament, etc.? Hilaire has only been in office a year and a half.
I will have to research this, sir. I will have to research this. But selecting of Richard was not done by the Speaker. It was done by Dr. Ernestine.
Yeah, but of course Richard was also selected to sit on it. They just shifted position. No?
I'm listening, Rick, yeah.
But in any event, on the face of it, this looked like natural justice taking a kick in the butt. But I wanted to make also clear to him that all those people are calling or whatever, and I want to underscore in particular that yesterday Minerva put out a plug for whatever she was doing, and she said Rick called Tim and called on UWP to rise up. I think that's a misstatement. Nothing could be further from the truth. I am not interested in party. I am saying to the people of St. Lucia, it doesn't matter where you stand. Okay, you know all those killings that you've had, Tim, unresolved? Do you know what party Mrs. Dillon, what was her name?
Can you repeat?
Do you know to what party Mrs. Dillon, is that what her name was?
De Leon.
We're even forgetting her name.
Kimberly De Leon.
Kimberly De Leon. Do you know what political party she supported?
No.
Do you know what political party Giselle George supported?
No, I don't know.
Do you know which party Valerie Lord supported?
Yeah, and the answer again is no.
Well, that's the whole point. When you get killed, you get killed. And your family gets screwed, they get screwed. And when they are denied justice, nobody's coming to find out what party you belong to. When you're hungry and you can't, or you can't send your kids to school, your party color doesn't matter. When you get raped, and you know, having gotten raped, 99% chance on your back of it, to use the phrase. That is the expectation of the country. That if a relative is killed, 99% chance the killer will get away with it. Am I right or wrong?
You're correct on this one.
So all these are horrendous, nightmarish, hellish situations that affect everybody in the country with a stupid partisan notion. And the politicians are feeding off that. I have not made any comment yet on Claudius' statement. Well, not to any great extent. I have not, for a lot of reasons. But I want you to pay attention to what's going on. Because if you switch to a Labour Party supporting medium, you're going to have exactly the same as those UWP people who call you out him, only the names will change, etc.
Yeah.
You will have the same partisan crap that is of no use to anybody. It only divides the country. So it is very important for me at this stage in particular that I am not misunderstood. I am talking about the effeteness, the stupidity of our people, the lack of education, the lack of critical thinking, the no media, the country is essentially a one-party state. So those people are saying the government wants to take all the government already is operating a one-party state. Already. As a matter of fact, the way that Privileges Committee, and nobody is discussing what went down there. Alan Chasney made what I consider a piquant, sarcastic remark based on the Speaker of the House announcing that Mr. Richard Frederick was out of state to do it on U.S. business. Now, the Speaker could just as easily have said, like he did yesterday, on another matter, that he's absent, he's out of state on government business. He didn't have to say U.S. But the minute you say U.S., you know you are putting a flame to a gas tank in St. Lucia. We all know the reasons why, no?
Yes. Yeah, we aware. We
all know.
Mm-hmm.
So is it so surprising in the house of pecan, in the house of everything, December.
Because that would
But
have
Alan,
that would have stunned people when they heard. Because it stunned me when I heard that he went to the U.S.
course,
Yeah.
everybody was stunned. Even now, we don't know what happened, and we have a right to know, because when it was going on, and the accusations leveled, and those who were blamed for that visa revocation, etc., that was public thing. It was also an election issue, Tim. It is still big, and St. Lucians, as Kenny Anthony said, have a right to know these things. Kenny Anthony is on record twice, and the last time was in 2011, where the people have a right to know these things. So Alan makes a side remark in the house where people can say fucker, and we don't know who even said it, but it was said, and it's on tapes. And there's worse. In that house, Alan Sassner said something. I hope he enjoys the 3-day visa. If what Alan said about the visa was incorrect, the speaker, who is always on the ball, remember, I did not say it was a 3-day visa. Correct the record right away, am I right?
Yeah.
Not a man moved of his cabinet, because all those guys sitting there, if not all, are cabinet members. Would they not know exactly the details of Richard Frederick's visit to the States?
They would have known.
How can Alan attempt to mislead them? And by the way, the problem is not attempting to be. The problem is deliberately misleading the House. Deliberately misleading the House. So, to my mind, and there's no college for speaker, there's no classroom for speaker, you pick it up as you go along. You read and interpret. So there's no brain to be Speaker of the House. Unfortunately, a number of speakers in the House have turned out to be bums. Is that true or not?
For that one, I don't know.
I know you're afraid.
But no, Rick, not a case of being afraid. For that, I don't know. If you say it's from your vantage point, your opinion.
Well, you know, of course, not my opinion, because the minute I say it is a fact, and because I will prove it. It's a fact. That's a fact. Okay. Matthew Roberts, you know what he's associated with?
Media, journalism.
Media? There's a calypso common. What's the calypso called? The bomb in the whatever. What is it?
McVoo, move the speaker in the House.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. There are other speakers in the House who are engaged in fisticuffs in the street, drunk. We've had those kind of speakers.
Okay, there are two exceptions. There is what's his name? Daniel, and our good friend Peter Foster.
Yes, Peter Foster was very interested in class.
Yeah.
And very clever. But your role, that's a classic one. That's not your role.
But Rick, time is against us, eh?
To
be continued. To be continued.
So I just want to say I am not speaking for any kind of party, and I have no axe to grind with Claudius, unless he makes me want to have an axe to grind with him. But there's nothing Claudius has said there, that's my final thing, that should be a surprise on any level. Because the whole campaign and others before it, but especially the last campaign, I don't have to remind people of what was said, where, how, and when. And they all accepted it. And then all this matter of the two. St. Lucia voted 15-2. Shut the hell up. Thank you, Tim.
All right, thank you so much. Let me turn my attention to our NewsSpin news of the day. NewsSpin news of the day. Nissan pulls out of Russia, sells all assets to state for €1. Our NewsSpin news of the day. Nissan pulls out of Russia, sells all assets to state for €1. And finally, we turn our attention to That's a Fact. That's a fact.
That's a fact.
What game originated the term stymie? What game originated the term stymie? And the answer, now meaning, and it goes on, now meaning to present an obstacle to or stand in the way of. The word stymie was originally a golf term describing a ball blocking another ball's path. And that's a fact. The question again, what game originated the term stymie? Now meaning to present an obstacle to or stand in the way of. The word stymie was originally a golf term describing a ball blocking another ball's path. And that's a fact.
And that's a fact.
And that's a fact.
And that's a broadcast. Thank you so much for watching on Facebook as well as on YouTube. And thank you as well for listening to the broadcast on Power 97.9 FM. My name is Timothy Poleon. Coming up next, The Power Drive. Goodbye.